Good morning or good afternoon, whatever time it is, wherever you are. And welcome to the fourth session of the MS-102. And we're starting off today with a discussion of Microsoft 365 Backup. Microsoft 365 Backup was added to the product line, say about 8 months ago at this point, and it had just been added to the updated version of the MS-102 exam, I think around January, February. And the last run of this class, I captured every screen of actually initially configuring it. And so I'm not going to be able to do that because that's like a once and done experience. And so what we're going to do is the last version of this class video, which includes the entire walkthrough with screen captures, like the whole process, is going to be available as bonus content. So I'm not just going to replace it with this run and then just have it go into the ether. That's very valuable potentially for people who want to view that. Having said that, I did capture screenshots in still motion, but the actual walkthrough, I took a chance and did it live, and it actually worked. So I want to let you know that's available. But today, what we're going to talk about is the product and what you need to know for the exam, because they did add it as a bullet point to the exam. I'm going to share with you some really cool resources that are integrated right into the Microsoft 365 Backup admin screens that are awesome. And in the Microsoft Learn content, there's not the depth that of the content. They haven't updated the initial depth module by module yet. There could be references to Microsoft 365 Backup, but not like what they might ask for on the exam. And that's interesting. Usually they keep that up to date. Okay, let's talk about what it is. Microsoft 365 Backup is designed to ensure your organization's data is always protected and easily recoverable, with the ability to back up all or select SharePoint sites, OneDrive accounts, and Exchange mailboxes. Microsoft 365 Backup provides comprehensive coverage for your critical data. And then I have a screenshot of that. It's not available in government community cloud organizations, and there's an article. Now, you may have noticed, to me, it's kind of a glaring thing. I have it at this bullet point in red, no Teams. Now, it makes sense that the idea that Microsoft Teams backs data up, stores its data in a combination of OneDrive for Business, Exchange Online, and SharePoint when you just use the out-of-the-box native configuration. But I was expecting that they would announce Teams as well by now, and they haven't. So I do not have any information of that. On a positive note, that means less for you to have to know for this exam. All right, trying to look at it positive. It's fast backup within hours, and it's fast restore. So they have put a lot of time into that. You get the full SharePoint site and OneDrive account restore fidelity, meaning the site and OneDrive are restored to their exact state, excluding taxonomy that's managed actually outside the site scope at specific prior points in time via a rollback operation. So this is obviously integrated with Azure SQL Server database integration, and it gives you a lot of fidelity there. You also get the full Exchange mailbox item restores or granular item restores using search or modified or deleted items, and consolidated security and compliance domain management. Now, those of us that are more working with the product for a while, we're like, okay, a couple numbers you want to know for the exam: SharePoint site collections. Let's say you delete a SharePoint site collection. It goes into the deleted sites area in SharePoint Online for 93 days. You have 93 days to recover that SharePoint Online site collection. So why do you need Microsoft 365 Backup? You may not, okay? Document libraries, the default now on document libraries on modern team sites is turned on to save up to 500 versions of every document stored in that document library. And any site collection administrator or any manager with the right permissions can go to a specific document, and restore it to any previous version up to 500 that's the default setting. So usually when we're dealing with backup and restore operations, other than complete disaster recovery, okay, but like, oh, I accidentally deleted a file, I accidentally deleted a folder, I accidentally deleted a site, a list, a library, we don't need to go to a third-party tool. It's built into Microsoft SharePoint on premises initially, and now SharePoint Online. Microsoft 365 Backup is more of a holistic approach, grabbing chunks of, if not all, for some reason, of your site collections for whatever business reason dictates that that's the way to go. That you need sort of like you're using one of the more popular enterprise backup products and you're taking that approach. In addition to that, because it supports out of the box Exchange Online mailboxes and OneDrive for Business and has 3 separate profile and policy operation integrations, all driven from the same page once it's set up, it can be a compelling option to stay sort of in the Microsoft family of products. So this module, I'm not going into, oh, I wouldn't use it or would use it, should or shouldn't. I'm just pointing out that this does not eliminate the built-in SharePoint redundancy protections. And in addition to those that are just out of the box, SharePoint Online comes with the product. You also have the capabilities to use labeling, okay? So you can use labeling and retention policies and go even further, again, without having to jump into Microsoft 365 Backup. And all of those policies, procedures, integrations, they stay. When you turn on and use Microsoft 365 Backup, it almost operates sort of not caring what any of that other stuff is. It's just like, I'm just grabbing the whole thing and I'm going to put it over here and I'm going to keep it there until you use this product to say you want it back or permanently delete it after some period of time. But for right now, I'm just going to take a copy of everything and move it over here. And then what happens is you cannot permanently delete. If you have a site collection, someone deletes it, puts it in the recycle bin, it's part of Microsoft 365 Backup. You can't permanently delete that site collection. It will stop you from doing that. So the first 2 bullet points, document libraries, recycle bin, that first off, know those numbers, okay, for this exam. Second off, those have been around for a long time. They aren't going anywhere. You do not need Microsoft 365 Backup to get those features. That's part of the product. Microsoft 365 Backup leverages Azure SQL. Okay, so it leverages an instance of Azure SQL. You do need to create a resource group in Azure. And behind the scenes, it will commission and provision everything it needs using Azure SQL, which is High Availability Disaster Recovery, HADR, that's what HADR stands for there, that product, and it ensures business continuity. That's the whole idea of any backup, that you can not lose data and not lose time. This does not mean that if Microsoft SharePoint Online has an issue that you see on the Service Health dashboard, that issue is independent of Microsoft 365 Backup. What I mean by that is you can't go, oh, SharePoint Online, my people aren't able to access the sites, must have got corrupted, let me restore from backup. That doesn't have anything to do if there's a service interruption. Make sure you check that, okay? So you don't want to go through a whole restore operation and be in the exact same boat you were before you started, from the simple fact that it had nothing to do with a corrupted files or anything. It was just simply that there's a service degradation. Always check the Service Health dashboard before taking administrative action. Okay, that's a good piece of advice. All right, so SQL availability. What do we have? Well, they have on their own automated backups and an SLA of 4 nines. So it can be unavailable for 4 minutes a month. These are some facts you may want to just kind of look at these enough times that maybe write down these exact bullet points, maybe 5 or 10 times. And then probably what will happen is when you take the exam, if you're presented with a question, that will be your gut. RPO, recovery point objective, is for 0 data loss. Recovery time objective is close to or at 0. That is very significant. If you've ever had any friends, or if you yourself have been what we would call maybe like a backup operator, right? So someone, their job is backup and restore. I remember I was consulting on this one job, and there was a young man, and we were always in the server room, and just one guy, he's kind of doesn't really talk too much. He just kind of sat, looked like he was reading the paper most of the time. Right? He was just that. I'm all, hey, was he involved in the project? Oh, that's Jim. It's our backup guy. Names were changed. His name was, I think it was Jim actually, but I don't remember. It was James, Jim, or something like that. He's our backup guy. Well, so like he gets everything set up, all of the products integrated, their whole thing, and his whole job. Like if something goes on, you're sitting there going like, well, gosh, that's kind of a good job, but kind of boring. But he's all, dude, that guy earns his paycheck in one afternoon. Like we lose everything, disaster, stuff's going down. He has us back up and running. Someone deletes a file off the file share. It's more of an on-prem days, and he has everything back, lickety split. He's got everything wired. And what I thought to myself was, that's like interesting. I wonder if what if he just somehow got the job and actually had no idea what he's doing, but was able to earn a really good salary until an event happened, and he's all, well, I don't know what I'm doing, so I quit. Is that like IT humor or something? But anyways, backup and restore is a big deal in IT, as I'm sure most of us are aware of. This is not free, okay? This is not free, and there's the gotcha. This is not like, I want to get that. Yeah, well, just keep in mind there is a cost, 15 cents per gigabyte per month, okay? And Microsoft has a pricing calculator. There are other non-Microsoft products like Acronis, and they do a per user model. And so in the meetings, when you're having meetings, this could change potentially, but right now it's still like this. But when you're in meetings, in IT, not for the MS-102 exam, but when you're in meetings for IT, you need to look at other solutions. All right, Microsoft 365 backup. What's the plus? It's just in the product. It's Microsoft. It's on the admin center. I don't have to go outside of anything. I just click buttons and set settings, and the accounting department pays the bills, and that's it. It's simple, okay? It's easy compared to some other integrations depending on what you're doing. But the per gigabyte price is kind of, it may or may not work out when you compare it to per user. You have to do the comparison. The good news is Microsoft provides something called the pricing calculator. Okay, so there's an article. I'll give you a link directly to this in the chat. Pricing model 365 backup. Hopefully I didn't fat finger that. And it says right there, hey, list price is 15 gigabytes per month. Interesting that it says list price. So I wonder if you can get a discount if you talk to them directly. And then it goes into how this works. And then this is the gold right here. They actually provide you with the Microsoft 365 backup pricing calculator, okay, which is just a spreadsheet, okay, but you can download it, and it's got all the formulas in there, fill it out, and it gives you an estimate. There's disclaimers all over the place. I love their disclaimers, so if I look closely at the article, the 12-month cumulative cost assumes no data growth or churn. you can estimate, what is this? Okay. Yeah, most organizations have no data growth. Yeah, no. But, that's in there. They let you know. And then let's see, there's somewhere else I was looking here. It basically says, like, it's no guarantee that this is accurate or something like that. Oh, here it is. This tool is intended to provide, isn't intended, that would be a misread, of an exact prediction, but to give you an estimate, which is nice, right? It is nice to have an estimate. It would be a lot nicer to go to accounting and say, hey, we're implementing Microsoft 365 backup. It's integrated into the product. It's going to be an extra $40 a month or $80 a month or $800 or $8,000 or $22,396. That would be a lot more sellable than, based on the pricing calculator, it's going to probably be around, maybe $1,400 a month. Not bad, right? But it could go up to 20 grand. It's like, we don't know. We're not sure. Anyways, for the exam, know that there's a thing called the pricing calculator, okay? And know that it goes by the gigabyte, not by the user. So that's going to be some things to keep in mind. Also, remember your OneDrive for business, it's operated and calculated separately, ironically enough, but each OneDrive for business is actually a document library in a whole site collection dedicated to that user, but they count it as its own thing. Here's a screenshot of a pricing calculator. I've downloaded it, and it's easy. It's a super simple calculator, Excel spreadsheet. All right, so how do you do this? Well, first you create a resource group in Azure. So you're going to Azure. This is not it's staying in the Microsoft products, but you're going to have to go to Azure and you're going to have to create a resource group, okay? So in order to do that, most likely your organization already has what we call a pay-as-you-go account with Azure, where you can create virtual machines and things. A lot of organizations, there's kind of like the Azure group and then the Microsoft 365 group, and they end up being in the same Entra ID tenancy, but they're kind of doing different things, sometimes, because they're more the infrastructure people. But in this case, we're going to have to either ask them or do it. You have to create a resource group. I created one. You can call it whatever you want. I call mine M365 Backup. Okay, M365 Backup. And that's kind of what your first step is. So let's get back to the slides. Then you got to make sure that you're configuring your billing tied to the resource group. So make sure that that's all put in place. And then you have to configure Syntex. Syntex is a product. It's an additional paid-for feature that works with SharePoint that was originally created to integrate with the automatic recognition of content types when you scan in documents into a SharePoint Online document library. That was its sort of original automated thing, which is awesome. You add it in, you could do massive, scanning in, and it will go, that's an invoice, that's a mortgage application, that's the content types, which really brings out a lot of the power of some of the automation dealing with SharePoint. But you have to activate or have Syntex ready to go, and then configure Syntex Microsoft 365 backup settings. You go through and do all that. Then you turn on Microsoft 365 backup. Once all that's done, once it's all turned on, when you go to your admin screen, and I have screenshots of all this, but you'll go to your admin screen. Once you have the resource group, you have Syntex configured. When you go to your admin center, under settings, I'm signed in as a global administrator. I'm guessing that's what you need to do, at least to do all this. There's Microsoft 365 backup. And when I click that menu option, bam, here is my Microsoft 365 backup page. And you can see that there's one sort of card to deal with SharePoint Online, one card for OneDrive for Business, and one card for Exchange Online. Okay. And down here, if I scroll down, here are my what are called policies. And right now I have my OneDrive for Business and Exchange Online paused. I'm trying to, save money. And I have the SharePoint policy active. And it's, been active, created March 5th and last modified October 28th. So this is in play. And I have one site assigned to backup, to be backed up. So that would be 150 grand for 1 petabyte. Wow. Christian, I would like to officially say that without any doubt at all, I can say with true authority that you're better at math than I am. I am not going to say if that's right or wrong because I'm just going to trust that you did the math. Yeah, no comment about that, by the way. Like I said, you want to see if the pricing and all those things are right for your organization. All right, thank you for that. What if you just made that up? I know you didn't, but that would be funny. All right, so create a resource group in Azure. If you've never done that, you can just go to Azure in a pay-as-you-go account that's connected to your tenancy. You may have to convert it to a pay-as-you-go account. That's something to keep in mind. So if your company isn't working with Azure, or the Azure thing's just like literally totally separate, the infrastructure crew is like, we do our own thing, you do your Microsoft 365 stuff, we just have like our own thing. That's not uncommon. Then your Enter ID, when you go to portal.azure.com, you'll be able to sign in as a global administrator in Azure. There's usually a box that you want to check that says, hey, in this instance of Azure, which is connected to my tenancy at Enter ID, they are connected. I would like the global administrator role to have those same level of role in this instance of Azure. There's like a checkbox you check, and then you'll have that same kind of authority in Azure that's connected to your Enter ID. But you convert it to pay-as-you-go. It's going to ask for a credit card, method of payment, because, it'd be very, very easy in Azure. There's thousands of products that you can kick off into a pay-as-you-go Azure instance, and you can rack up some serious charges quick. So, this is not for like, let me just see what this baby can do, because it can do a lot. But in your testing and development environment. Wow. Okay, Christian, thank you. Literally, Christian's like, literally just put in the equation in the chat. That's awesome. Anyways, I'm recommending that you have your own testing and development environment for getting ready for the exam. It's not going to be free, but I do recommend that you go through this process before taking the exam. Set it all up, get it configured and test it, and then tear it down and turn it off, so you're no longer incurring charges because it's pay as you go. So that'll probably cost you a couple bucks, but most likely, unless you back up petabytes of data, you won't have a $150,000 charge. No, and there's tools inside of Azure to let you know if you're going over your budget. I get a lot done in this instance of Azure for demos, and very rarely is the cost exceeds $75 a month. It's usually like 25 to 45 bucks a month. And I do a lot of stuff in there, but I don't have a ton of production data in there, just to give you an idea. So you go in Azure, you create a resource group, and then you go to the setup page. And this is the initial setup page that you go. So I don't have this anymore, because when I go to my Microsoft 365 backup page, it's already set up. See, I don't have the setup button. It's already set up. And that's a once and done thing. That's why I'm keeping the last version of the video where I actually do a walkthrough of setting it up and was able to that's where I got all these screens. So you click, go to setup page, okay? And then you have to activate your pay-as-you-go services in Microsoft 365. And it's not super obvious what to do, but there's walkthroughs. You have to activate pay-as-you-go services. And that essentially allows you to start getting billed in the instance of Azure connected to your tenancy for things going on in Microsoft 365. That takes you to this page. You click Get Started. And that takes you to Syntex Services. Now, Syntex Services, look at the description. Optical character recognition, document translation, autofill columns, and more. Well, we're in the and more part, okay? So there's sort of like, it's sort of, to me, it feels like, and then go over here to, basic lessons on how to box. And then after you're done with that video, go to footwork in boxing. I have boxing this evening, so it's on my mind. And then go over here and go to like how to do the speed bag in boxing. And then go over here and click on the video that says how to make angel food cake. And you're like, what? That's what it feels like. I'm being honest, but that's what you do. That's why, I was lucky to get all these screenshots. Then you set up billing. So you'll choose your subscription, right? Which is going to be the one connected. And then that's where you pick your resource group and your region. And I know it's supported in West US. I can't vouch for that it's supported in other regions or not, because I've only tried West US. Then your billing setup is complete. What you just did is you did all the prerequisites to get Microsoft 365 backup ready to go. Okay, it's now connected. There's a place to put your backups, and there's someone to charge for the data. That's essentially what just happened. And then you turn it on. Don't forget to click that turn it on, which saves everything. And then you save it. Once you've done all that work, now you set up policies which dictate which site collections get backed up in SharePoint Online, mailboxes get backed up in Exchange Online, and OneDrive for Business options get set up. So if I click on the SharePoint one, just to give you an idea, it takes you through this. The wizards, you're probably used to these wizards. They've done a good job of keeping these fairly consistent. I can see this as 1, 2, 3, 4 steps, and I'm on the overview step. They did a really good job with the documentation. So this policy will define the sites you can restore, how often sites are backed up. The sites you select will automatically be backed up every 10 minutes. How long backups are kept, and then each backup is initially kept for 14 days. After 14 days, one backup will be kept per week and retained for 1 year. Okay, one backup. So I find that confusing. After 14 days, one backup will be kept per week and retained for 1 year. Okay, the initial backup. So they're keeping the latest backup, I believe is what they're saying. The version of your site you can restore to. If you want to restore a site from a backup taken in the last 14 days, you can choose from 10-minute intervals. If you want to restore a site from backup taken more than 14 days ago, you can choose from 1 week intervals. That kind of explains the bullet point ahead of it. This is very different. At first glance, it's like 14 days. I get 93 days in the recycle bin in the deleted sites. Why do I need this? Because it's not taking a snapshot essentially every 10 minutes, right? It's keeping one, whatever it was when you deleted it, that's where it is. That's the difference. You're restoring from something accidentally deleted. That's the idea there. Here, it's more backup. We're backing it up every 10 minutes. And something goes wrong, you can restore to one of those backups. And so this last part's really key. You can if you want to restore a site from backup taken 14 days, You'll be able to choose from 10-minute intervals, okay? If you want to restore for more than 14 days, you can choose from 1-week intervals. So it keeps the latest of that, 14 days, it starts trimming the tree. So that's awesome, right? If we just look at product features, that's amazing. And then on the choose selection method, you can upload a list of sites. You can select the sites individually. You can use dynamic filters, okay? So the actual CSV looks like this. They give you a demo. Create a list of SharePoint sites in a single list column, one per URL. So they give you an example, but basically you just delete this whole example and then just put the list of sites. You put the entire URL, and there's an example of what I did. I wrote a PowerShell script that created, I think I did 400 site collections that all ended in supersite 01 through, I think, 400. Upload it there, upload a site list. I choose that way just so I could have these demos. And it then basically says, all right, this is your review and finish. You are backing up the sites that are in this file. Oh, I made 99 sites. There's 99 sites. They'll be backed up every 10 minutes. And this is the retention policy. And then here's your billing details. 15 cents per gigabyte per month. And it's all right, create policy. And then it goes, all right, we're creating your backup policy. This might take a few hours. You can view the policy status and manage site backups on the policy page. Click done to go to the policy page. I don't even remember how many hours, but it definitely, it was something I came back the next day to and said, all right, let me take a look at what's going on. And essentially it's the same idea for all the other ones, right? So that's kind of how that works. And when everything's said and done, it's backing up those site collections, and it's doing it every 10 minutes. So the data can add up quickly, hopefully not up to a petabyte, by the way, but that can add up quickly. So keep that in mind, and just keep your eye on your charges. That's going to be really important. So getting back to the frequencies, rule runs are scheduled every 24 hours. SharePoint site collection every 10 minutes. We got that. Exchange online mailboxes. All the included mailboxes are backed up every 10 minutes. Each backup will be kept for 1 year after it was created. And that can also stack up quite a bit of data. OneDrive for Business. Included accounts backed up every 10 minutes. Backups kept for 14 days. Latest backup from each week. So the same thing as SharePoint as the default. I haven't tried to, and I don't even know how to. It's probably a button. They make it sound like you can change the frequency from every 10 minutes. I don't know if you can. When you do your demoing, you may want to kind of poke around, see if there's a way to do it. It sounds like there is, but I'm not 100% sure about that. I don't even know what the true answer to that is. Okay. So once everything's configured, now the admin center looks like what I showed you. You have, SharePoint Online active policies, OneDrive for Business, and Exchange. You can set up policies. You can restore from backup if you have existing policies right from that dashboard. And this is what I want to point out about this page. And this is, I hope this stays. I would highly recommend you don't click that X. What I mean by that is, this part of the page right here, recommendations, I would absolutely recommend that you don't click this. I don't know if it comes back. If you do, I'm not going to click it, because that is a gold mine. It is a gold mine, okay? The on-demand video guides, dynamic rule for policy automation, and multiple admin email notifications. Though clicking on the on-demand video guides takes you to here. There is an entire dedicated Microsoft 365 backup area sorry. Clicking on don't delete that because you'll lose this. Sorry about that. It was on the demo screen. It takes you to here, on-demand video guides. There's a whole library. It's very doable. videos, step-by-step process of how to do all this stuff, and a whole bunch of resources in this location. This is an area in Microsoft Learn that's dedicated to Microsoft 365 backup, overview, the pricing model, initial setup, create, view, and edit policies, restore data, invoice management, offboarding, and I think you have to actually call Microsoft support to offboard, privacy, security, and compliance, FAQs, and we are here, the video library, which is, I mean, if you like videos, you're in this class. So set up pay-as-you-go billing, manage billing in Azure, here, let me just go to the actual place, it'll be easier. On-demand video guides, start watching. Look at all these. I mean, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, restore backup data, manage backup policies, manage backup with dynamic rules. You know, these are awesome. I'd suggest watching this. So just to give you an idea, I'm not going to go through this. If I click watch that one, just to, hey, why don't you let me see how long it is? Okay, weird. It's not letting me scroll. Thanks, Microsoft. I wonder what happens if I click that. Anything? Oh, there we go. 3 minutes. Okay, I just wanted to see how long it was. Sorry. So that's it. So very reasonable and excellent documentation. So I am personally, there's no way I'm clicking that X. You know, sometimes you go to a dashboard and you're like, oh, this is a gold mine. Then you go back and you go, all right, I've been there. I'm going to go ahead and click the X. I don't need that on my dashboard all the time. And then like you go back and where is that? You know, you could certainly bookmark that location in Microsoft Learn, then I guess you click the X. But I think it's awesome. All right, do we have any questions about Microsoft 365 backup? Any outstanding questions? You guys have been really active, by the way, asking questions. So that's why a lot of times I'll be like, any questions? But I haven't had to do that in this class, which is great. All right, then what I'm going to do is we'll take our break just slightly earlier today because it's a good spot, 10-minute break. Then we're going to go into our next topic, which is managing users and groups. All right, see you guys in 10 minutes.